Many fans are saying if and when this fantastic old club ends up in League One, there's only one person they're going to be shouting and blaming at, and that's Rudy Gestead. That was evident at Derby County. Look at their bench compared to Rovers. How you're doing? Welcome back to Where Uncle Jack Walks. We've got Harry, Mark and Louis fresh back from Pride Park and very, very frustrated about how this is turning out. Are Rovers heading down? There's only really one thing that can save them now, and that's West Brom or Leicester being even worse than we are. Hope you're well. Anyway, we've got lots to discuss this week. We're, of course, looking at that Derby results. We're thinking about our February Player of the Month and looking at their fixtures ahead of March. How many points will we be picking up from the next set of fixtures? All to play for. No one's relegated yet, Harry, but the faithful seem to be turning against, well, they already turned, but they seem to have Rudy in their crosshairs. Is that fair?
I think I can understand why the criticism's directed that way. I genuinely thought on Saturday, I thought first half in particular, we played quite well. We had them really pegged back. We used the width really well. Had their centre backs turning. I wish we'd taken a bit more of an advantage of that. We didn't really test out their keeper that much, but we did get a goal to show for it for half time. Coming out the second half was a completely different game though. They came out firing, and we didn't have a response to that. I'd have liked to have seen us be a little bit more pragmatic and make those changes in the game to try and respond. We tried to play the same style of football we were playing in the first half, and we just didn't have the answers to the changes that Derby had made. And you're right, a big chunk of that is down to the lack of quality that we've got available. I know we've been unlucky having Miller and Sonny just go out for pretty much the whole season. We might have had Tronstad play our last game for us now, and he's been such a great servant for us over the years. But yeah, the changes were evident for us to see. I think taking off Adam Forshaw was a real killer in the game. I thought he set the pace for how we were playing. He set the tone. We lost his legs when he came off. I don't think Montgomery had his level of energy, and I think Baraji can be a little bit lazy at times. And Forshaw was doing all the work in the midfield, and we just really lost it when he came off. But we haven't got that quality to bring on. You look at the bench, and we're looking for attacking substitutions to try and change the game. And you bring on someone like Deneva, who I think is genuinely one of the worst players to ever play for this club. I think he's awful. I think he's so bad. But that's just because we haven't had the investment. Derby bring on proven. I mean, Rhian Brewster's hardly proven quality, but they spent a lot of money on him. People like there's proven championship goals in that team: Carlton Morris, Ben Brereton, Sammy Smodics, and we just couldn't compete with that at all. And their class and their proven quality prevailed in the end, and we didn't have the answers to that.
Yeah, it's going to hurt, isn't it, watching all the ex-Rovers players there, Mark, and a manager as well. What he's building there is what could have been here with a bit of backing, isn't it? And that's why I think it's brought a lot of thoughts home to fans this week, watching what Eustace is doing at Derby. Andy says Justin and Pasha ripped apart a side that finished 7th. It's a huge downgrade in quality. We simply don't have the standard of players to compete. Is it right that those two in particular get the fans' wrath, and obviously if it is relegation, then they will be getting a lot more of it?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, ultimately the buck stops with the owners. Always has, always will. They give the budget, and I think they're just cutting costs all the time. They have been doing year on year. I think the recruitment's been really, really poor at Rovers under Pasha and Gestead, especially with Gestead this season. So quite rightly coming into for some stake. Funnily enough, you don't hear from any of them now at the moment. I think Gestead did an interview a couple of months back, and I think I read a quote that he'd said earlier this season that the squad this season was better than last. So I think that's just obviously that just sums everything, tells you everything you need to know about Rovers really. So quite right that they're coming in for a lot of stick, and they have done all season. But ultimately, the book for me always stops with the owners. They're the ones pumping in the money, or not pumping in the money, or choosing not to reinvest. I think Michael O'Neill Obviously, the honeymoon period has ended. I think he's obviously quickly seen now. If he didn't realise how big of a task he had, he certainly does now after the last two matches. So yeah, it's just really disappointing because, as I said, a couple of injuries, and we're just nowhere near the levels of quality that we've got. You look to the bench, and you've nobody to call on at all. So yeah, Pasha and Gestead have been running it really, really poorly this season. As I said, the some of the players that they brought in, I know the lads have obviously just mentioned about the Neve. You know, some of the recruitment has been absolutely awful, and we've been saying on here for weeks and weeks and weeks now about the lack of investment, etc. So yeah, it's probably going to go to the wire now. I think I wouldn't like to call it now how this is going to end. And I think at this moment in time, I'd certainly take the position that we're in now, fourth, fifth from bottom, and should see if we can rebuild in the summer. But yeah, it's back to square one, I think.
Cheers, both of you. Louis, there were some fans that had a different view of that game and said, look, Good Johnson had an absolutely amazing opportunity to make that 2-0 and didn't. And I mean, has he looked all right to you since coming back, of course, from injury? I mean, Adam says Derby were better than us in the second half. We had nothing in midfield, just overran us. Good Johnson, yeah, W2F, mate. There's lads playing on Plessy taking those chances. The one at the second half is horrific. We had another one as well. Which was it this way? The blame for that one has to sit on Good Johnson's shoulders. Missed an absolute sitter from 4 yards out, should have been 2-0. But we looked at a different team in the second half. O'Neill has got his work cut out. Is that fair on Good Johnson? And has he looked as good as he was before he went out?
He's definitely. It looks like he's lost quality, and I don't know. I think it all started. I think it's just a confidence thing, because if you remember his first goal against Southampton, I mean, right place, right time, but you could also say it was very lucky. But it still would have given him the confidence to, go on and do well. He scored quite a few goals. He was our main goal scorer before he got injured. And then since he's come back, we've signed Matty Jorgensen, who's obviously scored 2. Against QPR, he scored. I think it was Swansea or something. But Good Johnson's, he's going to lose confidence because of the injury. He's been out for a while. He obviously weren't going to be as sharp. But then now he's probably thinking that his spotlight's been taken by Matty Jorgensen. But then now neither of them are scoring, and I think it's because we have nothing to get us going in games like against Derby and against Bristol City. It was poor going forward. We just had no sort of focal point. Like, we had no one there to really do it. And you could look at Ohashi, obviously against Preston, and obviously scored 2 games in a row, but it's still not been up to standard this season.
Okay. Dare I say, Harry, there's a couple of fans that have said maybe O'Neill's decision making wasn't the best in both the Bristol City and the game at Derby. I mean, it's too early to be having a go at him, but this one here, let me just put it up. Says shameful for it to be so obvious for so long we were going to concede and change nothing. Is disgraceful. We let all the momentum swing and we made horrendous subs far too late. Squad death is shocking, but 2 games in a row now, we threw away the lead. That is not acceptable. Manager has got it wrong. Is an element of truth in that for you?
The problem is he kind of counters his own argument in that statement by saying we need to make changes, but then saying that we haven't got the squad depth.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what we're talking about. We'd love to be able to make the right substitutions, but every time we do make substitutions, we see a significant drop in quality. So you almost can't have your cake and eat it. You either blame him for not making substitutions, or you say that we haven't got the quality to make those substitutions. I genuinely think it's too early to throw any blame at the manager. It's been 4 games, won 2, lost 2, but I don't think we've played badly in any of them. I thought we should have got more against Bristol. We absolutely battered them in the second half and just didn't get that goal. Derby's similar. First half we were really good. Maybe should have had a bit more to go out of it. Good Johnson should have scored. Hashi had a really good chance. But yeah, we just lost it in the second half. But I don't think we've had a game where I've looked at us and thought we've been completely out of it so far. So I think you can't throw too much blame at the manager's decisions when he hasn't really got anything to work with. Going forward, if a Hashi or Good Johnson aren't firing, or we're not getting the width or the supply through someone like Alabiosu or Marishta, you look at the bench, you don't really know who to bring on. So I don't really think it's a fair argument to throw at the manager to say that we need to be making better substitutions when the whole argument that everyone's been making is that we haven't got those substitutes on the bench to bring on.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And if that chance for Good Johnson goes in, because it was a terrible miss, if that goes in at 2-0, it's a different game.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably not sat here talking about how the subs are this, that, and the other. I think it is the quality. Good Johnson's got to bury that at 2-0. I think we start to shut up shop a little bit, and it could be a completely different game. But we're tired. The energy levels are just not there because of again, when Derby made subs, they brought on power and pace. We just don't have that. So there's certainly no blame at the manager. I mean, he's come in a really difficult situation. He's in a no-lose situation himself in a way, but he's probably trying to assess the squad. But again, you can only work with what you've got.
Yeah. We're into March now, so it's a good point for us to pause and have a look at what's coming up next. Then, shall we? I mean, it doesn't get any bigger, does it, than this Saturday? Live on Sky, Pompey. We'll talk about Pompey in a minute because I had a good chat to them about this game in a second. And then the one after that. I mean, how important is this week, Louis, in the context of Rovers' season? The next 10 days, those 2 games there. So we've lost Louis. Never mind.
I think he's just looking at them games and thinking, "Oh my word, where are the points coming from here?"
I'm a bit lost for words. That's all. It's gonna be tricky. That, I mean, we have to look. I mean, the only thing we've got for Portsmouth games that we're at home. But it's tricky to see where the next win actually does come from, because we just don't look like scoring goals. And even like I remember saying, we're not going to be able to score good goals without Good Johnson or Matty Jorgensen in the team. But at the moment, we don't even. They're both in the team, and we don't look like scoring. But the 2 massive games coming up, we need to. I think Michael O'Neill needs to pull a rabbit out of the hat and just try some. I think maybe even try something new. I know we've played well, but maybe try something new with the attack, because what he's trying now isn't exactly working. And like we've all been saying, it's not. You can't point fingers at him too much, because obviously he's just got to work with what he's got. It's not even his squad. It's Valerian Ismail's squad, really. And he's just working with players who he's never seen before, he's never met before. So it's obviously going to be hard for him to manage them and sort of like help them sort of like mental states, like confidence and like their mindsets, really.
Cheers, Valerie. Pompey this week then, Harry. So they themselves have had a little bit of a resurgence, but then they've just lost the last 2. Their key man is Ebu Adams in that midfield, who they obviously signed from Derby, and he's pulling the strings in that midfield. Also, Mo Ali as well from Luton. Those 2 in particular have really, really changed this Pompey side from a team that couldn't score into a team that now look half decent, and they should have had more points against Sheffield United and this weekend, of course, as well. So if you can keep these two quiet and that midfield do a job on those two, this can be a winnable game.
Yeah, I mean, but the problem is where I look at Rovers and worry at the minute. Obviously, goals aren't quite there either. But since losing Sondre Tronstad, who's such a massive part of that midfield, I think we look a little bit light in there. Obviously, Adam Forshaw had a really good game, and I guess he's no spring chicken and hasn't played much football, so maybe he had to come off over about the hour mark. But we need him to be playing. We need him to be sort of at the same level he was against Derby, because he kind of felt like a Tronstad replacement, and I don't really feel like we've got that. So if he can maintain those levels, that'll be really important for us to win that game. But yeah, it depends about what version of players show up. You've got people like Moussa Baraji, who one week looks like a world beater, one of the better players on the pitch, and then another week seems really lazy and really sloppy, and that changes the dynamic in that midfield altogether. But what I would say is that we have got players like Portsmouth have got that can change the game. I mean, I still believe that Alabiosu is one of the best fullbacks in the league in terms of attacking numbers, whatever. I think he has the ability to change games in a sixpence. Marishta as well. I mean, he's been one of the standout players since Michael O'Neill's come in. Creativity, he's really helped us in those games that we've won in. And if those two can be on form and provide some service to the front two, because I mean, like Louis said, being a striker is all about confidence, but it's all about the service that's provided to you as well. I do believe that we've got 2 or 3 really good centre forwards in there. If you just give them, if we can find a way of giving them the right service, and we know Portsmouth are still a good side. I think they're probably unlucky to be the position they are in, but they're in the position they're in because they've been sloppy at times, and defensively they've been a bit iffy. And if our more skillful players, more creative players can find a way to unlock that defence and give some service to our front two, I think that's the key for us to win in that game.
Okay. Well, we keep everything crossed, of course, as well. We can't have Rovers go down. I mean, just in terms of the relegation picture, Mark, I mean, Wednesday obviously are gone. We suspect maybe Oxford will follow them. West Brom fans that we speak to are convinced they are going down. I mean, they have not won in 10 games. They can't score. They can't defend. And Leicester that we speak to as well are convinced that they're going as well. So I do genuinely think there are 2 worse. So I still think Charlton are a poor side as well. So if you can just scrape points maybe against like Millwall away and things like that, there's hope, isn't there? This isn't done.
Oh, it's certainly not done. And like you've just mentioned a couple of teams there. You know, Leicester in a really bad way. West Brom are in a bad way. I mean, obviously our 12:30 kick-off on Saturday, you know, as gutting as it was, and I know Leicester played at the same time, was keeping one eye on that result. You know, the results went in our favour really at the weekend. We didn't lose any ground, and even it kind of wanted Oxford to beat West Brom, which they did as well. It's kind of brought Oxford a bit back into it. So I still think that, you know, they'll have a fighting chance. I agree. I think Charlton are still not out of it. I think Portsmouth are playing really well and a good side, and I think they'll really fancy coming to Ewood on Saturday and getting a result. So it's far from over. I think I said a couple of weeks ago that the way we stay up is kind of by default. I mean, we've had a championship this season that obviously the trouble Sheffield Wednesday have had. You know, we've recently had Leicester have that -6 points deduction. Things have kind of been going in our favour. Otherwise, it looks a whole lot worse. That you've just shown the 4 games coming up in March. I mean, we'll have a better idea at the end of that. You know, and I'll probably tell you how confident I am after them 4 games. I mean, looking at those games, I'd probably take 5 points now. Doesn't sound an awful lot in those 4 games. I'd probably take 5 points. We'd have to see, obviously, where we're going with that. So, So yeah, far from over, and I honestly, this could go to the wire. I think it's all set up for Rovers Leicester final game of the season.
It is,
So
isn't it?
it's it wouldn't surprise me if it goes down to that. So it's going to be a long few weeks ahead.
I think the worrying, if I can just jump in quickly, I think the worrying thing about that for Rovers is the two teams that are directly below us kind of feel like teams that shouldn't be down there.
Yeah.
I mean, they at the start of the season, they'd be the ones that you kind of expect to be in the other end of the table, looking at top six. So it does kind of feel like, oh, they'll turn it around at some point. Like the phrase sort of too good to get relegated, it gets battered around every now and then. So the worrying thing for Rovers, it does feel like, oh yeah, Leicester will turn it around at some point, West Brom will turn it around at some point, and we've just got to hope that they don't.
It depends who West Brom appoint as well.
Yeah.
They get a good manager in, you start to think, oh, you worry a bit, don't you? So.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. They can't afford it because they've got no money. Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that. Louis, quick one for you. February player of the month, please. Should be who?
Aaron Casham.
Good shout.
In my opinion, I think
Excellent.
it's hard to pick an attacking player because we've not scored much, and I as much I know I've emphasised it a lot like today, but there's no real attacking player you can highlight except for maybe Matti Jorgensen, but he's only scored 2 goals. But I think in terms of importance in the team, you've got to go with Aaron Casham just because of his consistency.
Okay. So that's R in our A to Z. So on to that next then. Has anyone got a good one for this one, please?
Well,
Rovers in as well.
Well, yeah, but I think we've had a bit of input from Jason and Tom on this as well already. So they've kind of said to us, you have to put Stuart Ripley in there. So I mean, I'm quite happy with that. I don't know if the other lads have got anything, but they've I think Louis, I think you said a few weeks ago he's one of your dad's favourite players when he was younger. I think so. He was straight on there giving make sure you give Ripley a shout. So. So yeah, I tend to agree with that. To be honest, I'd go with him, unless any of the other lads have got anything.
It'd be Jordan Rhodes for me for a slightly more recent.
I thought
recent one.
I didn't think of that.
3 championship seasons consistently with over 20 goals in a side that we weren't even great back then. And if we could have defended back then, we would have easily got our way back into the Premier League because we could score for fun back then. What do we do to have him up front these days?
That changed my mind. He's going to be Jordan Rhodes.
Jordan Rhodes. Yeah, Stephen Reid, Paul Robinson, all the good mentions, I'm sure as well. But yeah, okay, Jordan Rhodes. Yeah, it absolutely is fantastic. Right, you three. Good luck against Pompey then this weekend. We'll be obviously watching live on Sky. Make sure it's a good one for us neutrals, please, as well. And we'll catch all of you back here next week. If you haven't yet subbed to the channel, then what you're waiting for, 20 minutes of Rovers chat every single week, reviewing the good and bad and indifferent takes from social media. Hope you're well. We'll catch you next week. Have a good week.